Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of XtalknIsh with your boy X. And at the moment, no ish, but hopefully he will join us another couple more minutes. Of course, he usually is at church on this Sunday morning, so he's running a little bit late. Hopefully, he joins us soon. As always, though, make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on Facebook, if you are on our Facebook page, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you are on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. Also, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future. Ding! Thank you for that, Ish. And as well on Twitter, go ahead check us out on Periscope at XtalkingIsh, and as well my personal page at X_Williams81. You can check us out on there. See what happens when Ish isn't here. I don't fumble over my words. I can get the damn handles out. And I think it's it. I think Ish is what's holding me up. That's what it is. So once he gets back onto the show, I'm just going to go ahead and blame him for fumbling over my words. But on a serious note, we are back once again for week 8 of the football season. Seems so just like yesterday. We started off the football season and everybody was clowning on the AFC South for going winless after 1 week. But as we get into the middle of the season, the AFC South, which is still, let's be real, kind of a joke of a division. Let's just be honest. It's not the worst division. It is actually the NFC South at the moment. And, you know, when you think of the NFC South coming into the season, you was expecting, of course, Tom Brady to do what he do, Jameis and the boys in New Orleans to do what they do. You know, baby Baker Mayfield redeems himself in Carolina. And a lot of people didn't expect for the Falcons to do much of anything. But this is why you play the game. You play it on the field. You don't play it on paper. And this is where we are at this moment when it comes to not just the NFC South, but as the NFL as a whole. There are some teams that people didn't expect them to be where they are at for the good or for the bad. And we're going to, of course, dive right into it for week 8. Right now, of course, if y'all are tuning into ESPN Plus, you will see that the Broncos and Jacksonville, of course, have traveled to London. And I wish Ish was here because, of course, he loves talking about his favorite team in the NFL. The London Jags are, of course, a 1-point favorite taking on the Broncos in London. And, of course, if you tune into the show in the past, you know how much Ish loves him some London Jags. At the moment, they are up by 3 points. At the half, it is 10-7. The Jaguars, as you can see, are a 1-point favorite in Vegas. Since Ish isn't here at the moment and he has not spoken to me about his picks for this upcoming week, I'm just going to assume some of these picks for him. And until he either gets onto the show this morning or just lets me know after the show what he wants, I'm going to go ahead and assume that he's picking the Jacksonville Jaguars. So both of us will take the London Jags to hopefully finish up this game and win this game at their home stadium. One thing I do love about these London games, and I guess all the other international games, is to see the fans in the stands, see the different jerseys that they're wearing, see the different backgrounds of people that actually care about football. It is really cool to see. I'm still on the fence when it comes to will a NFL team actually have their home operations in London, Mexico. I don't really see it just yet. I know, of course, money speaks all when it comes to people making moves, rather for sports or personal reasons. So we'll see what happens with that. I just don't want the Jacksonville Jaguars to have to play in London. It's especially if you're a team in the AFC South like myself with the Titans, to have to travel to London every year. That's just not fun to do at all. Especially if you are, again, a team that's stationed out in London, to have to also be a part of the community as well, the eating, the traveling, all that stuff. It's going to take. Oops, sorry about that, technical difficulties. But yes, it's going to take a toll on teams and also on players throughout the season when you are playing overseas like that. So with that being said, just speaking a little bit about this game, the first half of the game, Russell Wilson didn't look like the $250 man that they paid him to look. He's still not looking like that. We know he, of course, he is injured. He's still battling that hamstring injury. But overall, Russell Wilson this whole season has just not looked the way that he should look, given being a guy that's been given a 5-year deal worth over $200 million. With that being said, this season for them is probably going to be a wash. It's going to be a mulligan. I don't see them getting out of the hole that they are in. They are 2-5 at the moment. Even if they win this game, they still are 3-5. And the division, of course, it just does not help them at all. So next season, maybe they can let's ride once again and get some better pieces in there, because I see the office is already frustrated. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Jerry Jeudy is playing somewhere else next season. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with this Bronco team moving forward. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the battle for first place in the NFC South. Like I talked about earlier regarding the Panthers and the Falcons. These are two teams, probably one team with more of a higher ceiling than the other, the Panthers. Some people that, again, love Baker Mayfield assumed and felt like because he's coming into Carolina, getting away from that toxic Cleveland Brown organization. A lot of people assumed that coming into Carolina, this would be a fresh start for him. Won the starting job in training camp, beat out Sam Darnold, I should say, and everybody again assumed that this would be Baker's revenge tour. He played, of course, the Cleveland Browns week 1 in Carolina, and that didn't go well. And it's continued to not go well for the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. With both teams being under 500, what's crazy about this game is the winner of this game will be the winner of the game will either be 3-5 or 5-4 with the Atlanta Falcons. They win this game, they will be 4-5. The Panthers will be 3-5 if they win this game. Whoever wins will be in first place of the NFC South. It's ugly over there. I picked the Saints to win this division before the season started. Of course, now looking back on it, it looks real stupid at the moment. But again, that's why the game is played on the field. The Saints have battled nothing but injuries. Tom Brady, of course, is battling things on the field and off the field as well. That's going on in Tampa Bay. And could that mean that the Falcons can maybe sneak in and find a way to maybe win this division? I still have another half of a season to go, and nothing is clear just yet. But the Falcons are a team that is kind of dangerous when they want to be. I mean, they have a decent offense. You have a pretty good defense as well. I mean, again, you have – there's some games that they go out there and they play very, very well. And then there's some games that they go out there and go put out a stinker. At the moment, the Falcons are scoring 23 points a game. They're also giving up 24 points a game. Total yards is 325 yards a game, but they also give up 418 yards a game as well, too. So it's a reason why they are 3-4. They end up beating teams that they probably can or maybe supposed to. Just like they beat the 49ers, right? I mean, everybody expected them to beat the Niners, right? Beat the Browns, and they beat the Seahawks. Seahawks are a really good team. That's a really good win when you look back on it. And then you lose to teams like Tampa Bay, and you lose to teams like the Bengals. The Tampa Bay game, that was a controversial game as well due to managements of the referees when it comes to calling calls that might not have been needed to be called. And with that game, they could have been 4-3 at the moment, and this game maybe allow them to win another game to get them over 2 games over 500. So for the Falcons, I am taking the Falcons again. I'm going to guess for Ish that he's taking the Falcons as well because I think he's done with Baker Mayfield for this season. But if the Falcons are able to get to 500 and is able to take control of this division. They've already played Tampa Bay once. They have lost to them. They will play them again. They will play them at home. Again, I'm not saying that they'll beat them, but, I mean, the Panthers upset the Bucs just last week and held them to 3 points. I mean, if I'm the Falcons, again, I'm just saying let's stick to the game plan. Let's keep playing hard. Let's go out there and compete every week because this division is wide open. Who knows where the Atlanta Falcons can end up at the end of the season? That'll be interesting to look out for as well. Get to the comment section. Shout out to Travis Crow. He says, morning. Of course, we all know Travis Crow is the biggest Houston Astros fan, or I should say the biggest Houston Astros troll. I love how he is getting on people out there for being fake Astros fans, but I'm going to leave that one alone. Shout out to Fracture Wanda. He says, do you really see the Saints trading AK-41? That's a good question there, Fractured. I mean, at the end of the day, it really comes down to what the Saints organization wants to do with that. Right now, I'm really honestly confused on what's going on in New Orleans. It seems as though it's not a smoother transition going from Sean Payton to Dennis Allen. I don't expect the Saints to fire Dennis Allen out, obviously, after one season. But maybe there could be a revamp in the offense. Maybe Kamara says, I'm tired of playing here due to the offensive scheme is not set for me the way I would like it to. Maybe he can go elsewhere and contribute somewhere and still be obviously the main guy and help a team that's in need of running back help. There was a lot of talk in the offseason of Christian McCaffrey maybe joining the Buffalo Bills. Who knows? Maybe Alvin Kamara could be that piece instead of Christian McCaffrey. Again, this is why sports is so interesting, because you just never know where these organizations might want to turn in regards of help to help out a team. Also, Fracture Wanda says, you trade them, you got to trade everyone. I guess we shall see. All right, Bears take on the Cowboys, and of course the Cowboys are getting back into the swing of things with Dak being back at the helm. Last week, of course, they were able to win their game against the Detroit Lions, taking care of business at home. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. They're going to, of course, take care of the NFC North Division as well again today with the Bears coming in. I do know the Bears are able to put on performances that are competitive. I know they're a bad team. Don't get me wrong. They're a bad team. But if they were in the NFC South, they would be competing for the number one seed right now, right? So what's interesting with the Bears is nobody really gave the Bears a chance this season, coming into the season anyways, to be good at all. They've been able to put on certain performances where you look at them, you say, I mean, they're bad, but they could be worse. And what I mean by that is there's no help really up front for Justin Fields. He seems as though he has to make plays just to save his body. Last week when they played on Monday Night Football against the Patriots, it seems as though that the offensive coordinator and the head coach was able to put together a decent game plan for the Bears to allow Justin Fields to go out there and dominate that game, putting on a dominating performance, 33-14 against the Patriots. I don't see that happening again in Dallas. I think the Dallas Cowboys are back on track in regards of, okay, Dak is back. Let's get everything back to where we need to be to compete for the NFC East title, because it's not just the Eagles and the Cowboys anymore. The G-men are right there as well too. So the Cowboys they are in no terms of being able to just let games go. You can look back on the season and say, oh, well, we might have lost this. We might have let this game go just due to whatever it is. And it doesn't affect what's going on right now in the playoffs. You lose this game, this could affect moving forward on how this division plays out. I think the Cowboys take care of business in Dallas, but you do not want this game or look back later on in the season and say, man, how did we give up a game to the Chicago Bears? It dropped us from being the number 2 or 3 seed because you won a division to being the 6th seed and having to play in the wild card on the road against just say maybe another division foe, maybe either the Giants or the Eagles. That could happen as well too. Again, depending on what happens with the Eagles, we have to obviously wait for them to lose a game, for them to drop out of that number one spot of the NFC at the moment. But for the Cowboys, you have to take care of business. Take care of business and let everything else play out. All you can do is control what you can control and let everything else in the NFL play out itself. All right. We have the Dolphins versus the Lions. I'm at a point where I'm getting disappointed in the Lions because it seems as though the Lions are, unfortunately, the same old Lions, as they say, right? I'm very hesitant to talk about the Lions because we saw, I want to say it was hype, because I don't look at hype is for teams that are good. Okay. I don't think anybody expected the Lions to compete really for anything in the NFC. Hard Knocks, again, gave us a little bit more of an in-depth look on how Dan Campbell and that staff of coaches were trying to cultivate this young talent. And the first couple of weeks of the season, I mean, it looked good. It looked like, competing, again, wasn't expecting for the Lions to win every game of the season, but it looked good competitive wise. When you play against the Philadelphia Eagles week 1 and you kind of go toe to toe with them, and it seems as though now looking back on it, that was really the only struggle game for the Eagles at the moment. And now all of a sudden the Lions have lost the last 4 out of 5, and your last win came against the Washington Commanders. And so far, the last 2 games, you've only scored 6 points and have given up 53 points. That's not a recipe for success at all. Don't get me wrong, you've played 2 good teams, the Patriots and the Cowboys. Patriots shut you out. The Cowboys, of course, took care of business in Jerry's world. Right now, you come back home, you play against a motivated Miami Dolphins team that looks like they are kind of like the Cowboys too when it comes to re-entering in their QB1 and trying to get things back on track for the offense. That's why I'm taking the Miami Dolphins to win this game. Would it surprise me if the Lions win? Honestly, yes. Because I think at this point, there's some players on the Lions team that probably are checking out. Same thing with the Denver Broncos. Maybe even the Raiders. Like I said, there's some teams out here, Texans as well. There's some teams out here that some players are probably already checking out. Probably ready to say 1, 2, 3 Cancun, and probably ready to just go ahead and get the season over with, because when you are in a hole by 4 or 5 games, I mean, we're middle of the season so far, it's really hard to get out if you have no hope. Jared Goff is not the savior. Okay. DeAndre Swift has been out about 4 to 5 weeks now. He's coming in. He's not going to come in there and be the savior. Don't get me wrong, you have some pieces like Amon-Ra Brown. You have some pieces on the defensive side of the ball, of course, with Hutchinson. But for the most part, I mean, the Lions are unfortunately the same old Lions. I mean, in the words of the old school ancestors, until you do right by of course, Mr. Campbell, you will not see the light of day for the Lions. And Mr. Caldwell, my apologies, Mr. Jim Caldwell. After they fired Jim Caldwell, after having back-to-back winning seasons, going to the playoffs, it seems as though that the Lions do not want to win. Seems as though the Lions are okay with being mediocre. And if you're okay with being mediocre and turning a profit, go ahead, Detroit, because that's what they're going to do. They're not going to put a product out there to win. They're just going to do just enough to turn a profit. So I'll leave it with that. Before we get on to the other topics for today, let's go ahead and break it off with a short break from Imperial Kings Barbershop. Go ahead and check out the new location over on 9218 FM 529. go ahead and give Jason a call at 346-355-8255 to set up an appointment to make sure you get faded for the weekend. And again, make sure you let them know that XtalknIsh sent you once again. I wish my boy Ish was here because I know how much he just loves talking about who I'm about to bring up, my boy Captain America. Captain America, of course, takes on the bad little toddler, Kyler Murray. And again, because Ish isn't here, I'm going to assume I could be wrong, that Ish is going to take the bad little toddler. And I'll go ahead and put the picks up now because he does not believe in Captain America. Okay. I'm at a point where I'm going to be honest with you. I think Ish does not love America. All right. I don't think Ish loves America because if Ish loved America, he would love Captain America, okay? And he would love Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins is out here slaying that thing. It has a record of 5-1. The Minnesota Vikings have a record of 5-1 at the moment. And Kirk Cousins is balling. I mean, he's out here putting on another clinic. He has 1,500 yards. 9 touchdowns. Now, you do have 5 interceptions. That's a little blemish, but for the most part, not just, of course, Kirk Cousins, but the offense as a whole. You have Dalvin Cook, a healthy Dalvin Cook, almost have 500 yards and 4 touchdowns on the season. And for the Vikings, I'm thinking for them, they are starting to look at the NFC North. And they probably are getting a little bit more cojones in them when it comes to, well, we may not have to worry about the Packers like we thought. We know we don't have to worry about the Lions, right? And for the Bears, I mean, it's pretty much more the same. So at the moment, 5-1 for the Vikings. It's your division to lose. It's your division to lose. So you can continue to keep on soaring. I picked the Minnesota Vikings to be in the NFC Championship game before the season started, and I hope they continue to keep on doing that. They are a 3.5-point favorite at home. The Cardinals, of course, second week back with DeAndre Hopkins. I'll be interested to see if this will be the breakout game for Hopkins to let people know that, hey, I'm still here. Just because I was gone for 6 games does not mean that I've been gone forever. And maybe for Hopkins, this Hopkins and I should say for Kyler Murray, this will be a great opportunity for them to get back on the same page, and for the Cardinals to try to pull off an upset in Minnesota. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the game in New Orleans. Like we spoke about with the NFC South, hurting very much right now. And we're going to keep this one short and sweet. Like I talked about with the Raiders last week, I felt as though that they played against the Texans last week. They had to win that game to be considered a serious team in the second half of the season to maybe make a run. Of course, they were able to win that game. Josh Jacobs had 3 touchdowns on the ground in that game. And for them, maybe that they can use that as motivation going into this game and moving on into the rest of the season to where maybe we can see a second half surge from Raiders. They have the offense. The defense is still a little suspect, but for the most part, they have a quarterback that can at least win you games in a regular season, right? Again, we saw last year with the Raiders when it comes to using the craziness of the first half of the season that they endured, and to be able to use that in the second half of the season to make a run and go to the playoffs. They have to do that once again with the Saints as they did last week with the Texans. Take care of business. After you win this game, you can get back to 3-4 and slowly but surely work your way out of the hole. It's not pretty when you are starting under 500 for the season, but we have seen it time and time again, teams in the past that are able to dig out of that hole and make a run. So for the Raiders, you have to continue to keep on taking care of business just one week at a time. Don't don't look too far in the future. Just take care of business where you can, and then hopefully let the cards lay where they are. And we shall see from the Las Vegas Raiders what happens by week 15 with them. All right, another interesting matchup of the season, a divisional matchup between the Patriots and the Jets. Of course, in the past, you look at this matchup, and we are easily going to say this is the Patriots, right? The Patriots are going to take care of the Jets. It's the Jets. No one cares about the Jets. Well, not this season. I mean, this season a little bit different. And the Jets are the ones that's coming in with a 5-2 record and not the Patriots. The crazy thing about this game, though, for me, I feel as though is the line. Vegas feel as though that the Patriots are still a 3-point favorite. I mean, I'm still kind of scratching my head and trying to figure out why. The Patriots aren't a bad team, but they aren't a good team. But then if I look at the stats when it comes to both the Patriots and the Jets, they are about the same. Points per game for the Patriots, 22. Points per game for the Jets, 22. Points allowed per game for the Patriots, 20. Points per game allowed by the Jets, 20. I mean, so if we're looking at stats-wise, they are pretty much almost the same. But overall, the Jets' defense this year is a better cohesive unit than the Patriots are. And also, I would say on offense as well, too. The Patriots' offense just looks abysmal. It looks like you need to go and drink some Pepto-Bismol when you watch this because it makes you want to just throw up. Like, that's how bad this offense is. And for the moment, I'm going to say it for my boy Ish. Jets, Jets, because I know he's going to pick them. I might have to rock with him as well, too, this game. I see the Jets pulling off the quote-unquote the upset, even though I don't think that they should be a home underdog. If anything, this line should be even. It'd be interesting to see if this line moves before the game starts. But I'm trying to also figure out as well, too, is Mac. Let's see is Mac going to – it looks like Mac Jones will be starting at the moment, but in the words of Ish, if you want a Pappy, you might have to start Zappy, and I don't know really what's going on with the Patriots in regards of how they see Mac Jones. Because before the season started, some reports were coming out that some people felt as though that Mac Jones was starting to get a little too cocky for his britches, and seems as though that he might feel as though that he was a little ahead of the curve instead of continue to keep working, right? There was a lot of praise for him coming out of Alabama, fitting into the Bill Belichick system and fitting into being the perfect transitional guy to go from Alabama to this Patriot system, just doing the right things, had a really good rookie season. This season, again, is a little bit more of a highs and lows from him, not just with play, but also with the injury. Last week, he got pulled, not just because of his play, but it was told from Belichick it was mainly due to him not being able to physically perform on his ankle. So if they do put Mac Jones out there as a starter again, I mean, that honestly shows everybody, too. They do see Mac Jones being the better quarterback. Zappy might perform better when he's out there, but it seems as though that they still believe in Mac Jones. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in this game. I think this is also the game that the Jets are going to be wearing their black uniforms as well, too. So keep a lookout for the black unis. I know everybody wants to go alternate uniforms this season. But for the most part, I'm taking the Jets until the Patriots prove to everyone otherwise that they can be a team to be worried about. It's the Jets' time to reign right now. I mean, are you not watching the Jets? Are we not seeing? These are not our Jets. Either I can't say these are not our parents' Jets, not our grandparents. No, these are not even our Jets. I grew up with the Jets being trash, okay? And they still going to be trash until they figure out a way how to turn around. And who knows, maybe it could be this season with this coach, with this group of guys that feel disrespected in all types of ways. Sometimes when you disrespect folks, you're either going to continue to keep being disrespected, or you're going to get up and slap somebody in the mouth, one or the other. So we'll see what happens with the Jets. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Battle of Pennsylvania. The two teams that used to be one, the Steelers versus the Eagles. The Eagles come into this game with an 11-point favorite. And of course, if you're here in Houston, you should know that it's a Philly versus Houston weekend all week long with the Astros and the Phillies and the World Series. Of course, then you also have the Eagles will take on the Texans on Thursday Night Football here in Houston. So you have a lot of Philly versus Houston right now. But if I'm being completely honest, Philadelphians really don't care about Houston like that. They would rather beat their little brother in the Pittsburgh Steelers and take care of business here at home to make sure that they take that in-state crown against the Steelers. Now, I know it's easy for everybody to pick the Eagles, and I'll be the first one to say it. I was going to pick the Steelers. I was going back and forth on this. I picked the Eagles at first. I said, obviously, they're going to win this game. Come off of a bye. If this was Andy Reid's Eagles back in the day, we already know what happens when Andy Reid comes off of a bye. This is an easy win, right? I think we're all waiting. Everybody's waiting for that Eagles loss. I think everybody's waiting. We don't know when it's going to happen. We thought it was going to happen with the Cardinals a couple weeks ago. I don't know when they're going to lose, but there's no way they're going to go undefeated the rest of the season. That's not going to happen. So now we're trying to figure out, okay, so when are the Eagles going to lose? I could see it happening in this game, but because of just the way the Steelers have been playing this season, I can't do it. I really just can't do it. I can't pick the Steelers to win this game. The only way that the Steelers win this game, the only way, and this is just obvious football talk, turnovers by the Eagles, hold on to the ball by the Steelers, run the ball, make sure the Steelers offense do not get on the field, and try to play keep away. And just the basic. That's the basics, and hope that weather affects you in a good way and not a bad way for the Steelers. Other than that, there should be no reason why the Eagles should lose this game. If the Eagles lose this game, I hope you look back on it and say, "Oh, that was a mulligan. We're going to go ahead and let that one slide. That didn't affect us moving forward." But Eagles, you cannot lose this game, not just because they have money on it, but because, on a serious note, it's just not good for the Eagles if you're trying to be looked at as a Super Bowl contending team. All right. Speaking of Super Bowl contending teams, I'm not talking about the Houston Texans. I might be talking about the Tennessee Titans. Again, this all depends on how they are able to finish off the second half of the season. They are not the same Tennessee Titans that we've seen in the past, especially in the air in regards of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. But seems as though the Tennessee Titans are still the old school Tennessee Titans in regards of running the ball, playing sound defense, causing turnovers, and just winning the games you're supposed to win. Tennessee Titans come into Houston and take on the Houston Texans. And right now, Vegas says that this game is even. I don't really agree with that, but hey, what do I know? I'm not in Vegas. But I do remember last week that the Vegas people said that the Kansas City Chiefs were a 1-point favorite over the 49ers. I don't know if y'all remember how that turned out, but the Kansas City Chiefs ended up winning that game by 21 points. So with that being said, before we talk about the game, though, I want to let everybody know that this will be Malik Willis's first career NFL start. The debut of, could be maybe, the future of the Tennessee Titans at QB1. So that'll be interesting to check out as well. I will be at the game today to check that out in person. So we'll see what happens with that. But overall, the Tennessee Titans better not lose this game. Tennessee Titans cannot lose this game. The Houston Texans are the worst rushing defense in the NFL. I think the Tennessee Titans have a guy named what's his name? I think his name is Derrick Henry. I think let's go ahead and give him the ball about 20 times today. Let's do a little bit, maybe some RPOs with Willis and Derrick Henry. Let's also get Hassan Haskins in there as well to get him some play so we can again get this rushing attack the way it needs to go and where it needs to be, and also, of course, just exploit what they are bad at, which is stopping the run. Should be no reason why this game should be even. The Titans should win this game by at least 10 points, and Texans are, in the words of Dennis Green, who we thought they were. So we're going to go ahead and move on from that when we go to the Commanders versus the Colts. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. This is, like I told you, these were games that I'm picking for Ish, and I don't know where Ish is going with this one. Sam Ehlinger will be starting over Matt Ryan. The Colts have benched Matt Ryan for at least, I guess, the remainder of the season. I don't know how that's going to play out, or of course until Sam Ehlinger gets hurt, and they'll throw Matt Ryan back out there. But it's all bad in Indy right now. It is not good. I don't expect Sam to come in there and be the savior. I just do not. It's sad as a Titans fan that you kind of feel a little bad for one of your division rivals who used to whoop up on you all the time, because how the mighty have fallen, right? I mean, this was a team went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, and the Colts as an organization thought their franchise was set for the next 15, 20 years, right? Andrew Luck retires before 30. Of course, he gets booed out of the stadium before the season starts. And ever since then, karma has hit the Colts fan base hard in the face. Ever since 2017, they've had a new starter start every week one since then. And the Colts are continuing to search for answers at that position. And still to this day, I don't know what direction that they want to go in. I don't know if they're trying to go through the draft to get one. You're trying to get that you've been trying to do a veteran quarterback for the last 3 years now. We've seen how that's been working. Do you go ahead and go rebuild mode and just try to get a quarterback for the future in the draft and just put pieces around him? Do you stay with Sam and give Sam Ehlinger a shot? I don't know what the Colts are wanting to do and are trying to do. And that's also what I feel about the Commanders. I mean, these two teams are kind of exactly the same type of teams in regards, and you bring in, of course, Carson Wentz. This is supposed to be the Carson Wentz revenge game, and of course, Carson Wentz came to play because he's hurt for the Commanders, and you have Taylor Heinicke out here starting for the Commanders, and I don't even know what the Commanders want to do. I don't know what, like, these two organizations piss me off so much because these two organizations could be so much better. And these are two organizations that have won Super Bowls in the past. And we're looking at y'all like y'all are jokes. Really, like, these two organizations are jokes of the league right now. Not just on the field, but also off the field. I'm talking about both of these owners, because how dare Jim Irsay try to say anything bad about another owner, right? All right, again, if you know about football, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. But how dare you, Jim Irsay, try to talk about how bad of an owner making the rest of the owners look? Okay, but anywho, I don't expect much from this game. If I'm being completely honest from everybody, this probably might be one of them games where y'all just it's like the game right now going on in London. Nobody really wants to watch that game. We're just watching that game because there ain't nothing else on, and it's early morning Sunday, so let's go ahead and check it out right now. Commanders and Colts, you couldn't pay me to go to that game. I'm being completely honest. You couldn't pay me to go to that game. I'm just go out on a limb and just say that Ish wants to go with the Commanders. Excuse me. just for shits and giggles. I don't know. Ish will let us know soon on the graphic when I put that out there on social media. But for right now, again, that game is it's going to literally be another Pepto Bismol type of game. Go ahead and get your pink bottle ready. It's gonna make you throw. It might make you diarrhea as well too. So go ahead and get that out so you can be safe to not have to watch that travesty. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 49ers and the Rams. Now, just last couple of years ago, I'm sorry, Ish isn't here, so I can't talk to him. But if he was here, Ish, this game is one of the better games to watch out for, especially divisional game. The amount that's on the line usually when these two teams play against one another, it usually is a very, very good game. As you see, Vegas has this game as even as well too, and this game might be more of the even matchup game for Vegas that's calling correctly compared to the Texans and Titans game. The reason why I say that is because the Rams are still struggling, still trying to get things back to where they want them to be, and the 49ers are kind of doing the same too. Even putting in Jimmy G after the Trey Lance injury, the 49ers are still not where they want to be. Adding Christian McCaffrey last week, still lose last week. And let's be honest, if you know anything about football, nobody really was expecting Christian McCaffrey to come in there and just win the game for the 49ers last week. If you did, you might need to go get your head checked because that was not going to happen. But with that being said, once Christian McCaffrey gets more integrated in the offense, learns the playbook some more, to have some more schemes set out for him, the 49er offense could be very deadly, but we just don't know yet because these pieces seems as though that they cannot be on the same page for one game. You might have Debo, of course, doing his thing in week 3, and then Kittle had doing his thing in week 5, and maybe Ayuk doing this thing in week 6. But these pieces have not come together for one game for some to make the offense as unstoppable as it could be, to put all of the pressure on the defense to not know, okay, who's going to get it this time? Let's double team Kittle. Oh, we can't do that because Debo's wide open. Oh, let's go ahead and shift the left side to Debo. Okay, well, now you go ahead and sway everything to the left. And now we got Christian McCaffrey being swung out to the right-hand side with one-on-one matchup that he's going to go ahead and juke him out of his panties. And all of a sudden, he got a free range to a touchdown, right? So until this 49er offense shows us that you could be consistent throughout the whole game, I want to pick the Rams for the moment because we know who they are. But we also know that they still cannot get this together just yet. Maybe this is the game. They're at home, get you some home cooking. Maybe you can pull this game out. I'm very hesitant on this game. Like, I really want to pick the 49ers. I'm not going to lie. I really want to pick the 49ers. But I think the Rams take care of business at home because you have to. That's just how I say it. I mean, you have to, because with this game, if you win this game, you are over 500. You're 4-3. If you lose it, obviously you're 3-4. But being in, of course, in that division as well in the NFC West, this is a must win. I feel this is a must win for the Rams because with the Niners, like Ish and I talk about all the time, they get better in the second half of the season. So if I'm the Niners are okay with playing in the wild card as a 5, 6, or even a 7 seed to going into somebody's home and upsetting them, as we saw last season with the Cowboys, correct? I think the Rams, they have to be at home. They have to play in LA to give them any type of chance. I don't think they in the playoffs, I'm talking about on the regular, in the playoffs, I don't think they can go into Philadelphia, right? Even the Cowboys, maybe even New York Giants. I don't think they can go in and win a game at somebody else's stadium, my opinion. Of course, speaking of the Giants, we'll segue right into them. New York Giants go across the nation to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are a 3-point favorite. This is actually one of the games that I'm going to be keeping my eye out on because these are two teams that I mean, did anybody expect this? Seriously, no. I know nobody out there had the Giants at 6-1 at this moment. If you had Giants 6-1, hey, come see me. We're gonna go ahead to Vegas right quick. We're gonna get us some money because it's no way anybody predicted this. The Seahawks, I don't know if anybody predicted them to have not just be the divisional leader for the NFC West, but to have a winning record at the moment. Like we talked about with the game before, the 49ers and Rams, those two teams are looking up to the Seattle Seahawks at the moment. And with the Seahawks, of course, in the offseason, all the noise was Russell Wilson leaving the Seahawks and them being forced to either have to play Geno Smith or Ish's favorite backpack boy, a.k.a. Mr. Drew Lock. And a lot of people, I guess, wrote off the Seahawks and say, hey, just try for next year. Nobody believes in Geno Smith. Since week one, when they played against the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson's return to Russell Wilson's game against the Seahawks, it seems as though that Geno Smith redeemed type of season, right? Right now is easily the leader for comeback player of the year. When you are able to have everybody on your side and that believes in you, and when I bring this up, I'm talking about also like in Miami with Tua, you play so differently. And what I mean by that is the pressure has kind of dropped from you to where you're not having to worry about if I make one bad throw, will they pull me because I have a short leash. Geno has been able to go out there and perform and play well week in and week out. At the moment, he's throwing for 1,700 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, that is beautiful. I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, anybody that talks down on Geno Smith this season, you can bring up the past all you want to. In this season alone, you want to talk down on Geno Smith, you're just a hater. You really are just a hater because this man is having an excellent season. I hope he's able to finish this off. I'm hoping he's able to get the Seahawks to the playoffs. It would be an amazing story. That's what we watch sports, is to see things like this. At the moment, I do have the Seahawks winning this game, and I'm gonna let Ish pick the Giants. I'm pretty sure he's going with his G-man. But anytime you, of course, have those West Coast teams travel to the East Coast and vice versa, you have to be wary of the time difference. This is a later starting game. This is a game that starts at 3:25 Central Time. So, of course, 1:25 over on the West Coast. So for that's the reason why I'm picking the Seahawks. I think they take care of business in Seattle. I know it will be considered a upset if the Giants win due to the Seahawks having a 3-point being a 3-point favorite at home, which honestly surprises me. I thought Vegas would give the advantage to the Giants, not just record-wise, but just how they've been playing. But it seems as though Vegas, as you can see, are high on Seattle. Now, maybe it's a trap from Vegas. Maybe they want you to put all the money on Seattle. And, if you're a Giants fan, you might win you some money being able to pull off this upset. So be very weary on that one. I don't want to, push down in whatever direction in regards to betting on that one. That's an interesting line on that game. I really don't know how to make of that one. Fractional says, would Brandon Cooks potentially getting traded to the Giants, would that give you more confidence in Danny Dimes? My boy Fractional, he is the Texan insider, and maybe he knows something that I don't know. I do know that before the trade deadline, that Brandon Cooks was a name that was maybe to the Packers. I haven't heard the Giants, but that's interesting. And maybe again another team out here that need wide receiver help. Brandon Cooks is a guy, for whatever reason, continue to keep being disrespected. But continues to do nothing but produce multiple 1,000 yards seasons from quarterbacks who are mediocre, who are not that great, but for whatever reason, he still continue to have 1,000 yards seasons. I think he's a guy that can go into an offense and plug and play and is able to contribute day one. I don't think he wants to be a Texan that much longer. It wouldn't make sense why he probably might be okay with being traded. But would it give more confidence in Danny Dimes? I wouldn't say just Danny Dimes and stuff. It would give more confidence in the offense as a whole for the Giants. It will give Brian Daboll another weapon to work with and to put him in position to be successful. But for Danny Dimes, yeah, that's Ish's boy. Y'all can talk to Ish about that one. I'm not entertaining that. Ish is not on the show today, so I'm not about to entertain that. That is Danny Wooden Nickel to me until he's able to do more than just dink and dunk, and we'll go from there. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Sunday night football game. The way that the NFL looked at this game before the season started, they anticipated this game to be a lot more of an enjoyable game. Two good quarterbacks playing off against one another, two historically good teams playing against one another. But ever since the season has started, the Packers have just not been who they are. Aaron Rodgers seems as though he's getting more and more frustrated after every game. And since this past week, it seems as though he's been using the underdog type of mentality to try to hype up his own team to try to win this game. To pretty much say, yeah, we're not, look, we're a 10.5 point underdog. We're not supposed to go in there in Buffalo and win this game. We're not good enough. We're not this, we're not that. And he knows that this team is listening. Will his team respond? Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. And it's not because Aaron Rodgers is a bad quarterback or the Buffalo Bills are just that much better, which they are. Just the Packers are just the wide receiver group just do not want to catch a cold in Antarctica, butt naked, sit on a cube of ice. Like, that's just what it is right now. And it's more issues, I feel, as though within that Packers organization than what they are wanting to let out and let people believe. Because it's only so much Aaron Rodgers can do being able to play out of spite. Sooner or later, you're going to need some help. And Devontae Adams obviously was his safety blanket, his security blanket when it comes to making Aaron feel comfortable anytime he's uncomfortable. Being able to make sure that if I know a guy that I can get the ball out to, Devontae's my guy, no matter if he's double covered or he is covered in general, and I can throw it in a placement that Devontae can get it. Right now, the Buffalo Bills are rolling. And when I mean rolling, I'm talking about Tina Turner. So, we rolling on the river. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. That's just what the Buffalo Bills are doing. They're going to continue to keep on doing it. They're going to go 6-1 after this game. And I'm going to call right now. We're going to see some type of funny meme. Something funny. Some type of meme is going to come out tonight, Sunday Night Football. Something like Aaron Rodgers' face he's going to make, or something going to happen on the sideline. I'm calling it right now. Something's going to happen to where Aaron Rodgers is going to be a meme for everybody to laugh at, and it's just not going to be a good look for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to finish off the rest of the season, because we could have some franchises looking real down right, or not even just franchises, but also some players who thought it was going to be different. You got Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have New England Patriots. You have the Green Bay Packers, right? I mean, depending on how the Rams turn out, maybe the Rams could be looking that way too. You got the Colts looking like that right now. I mean, we have some teams that just look real sad. But the great thing about NFL, that gives other teams the opportunity to show us what you got, show us what you're made of, and hopefully taking advantage of it and making this y'all's turn to show us again to capitalize on the opportunity to show us what you have in this league. All right, with that being said, today we will not do if I was a betting man, nor don't be upset. But I will say, to let everybody know, if you do want to check out Prize Picks, this is our promo code to allow you to get some free money if you want to go ahead and make some picks on Prize Picks. Our promo code is PR-JVA61PN if you are listening to our podcast. So with that being said, we appreciate y'all as always for tuning in to X Talking Ish. We will join y'all on Tuesday for our Tuesday recap of Week 8. And of course, this guy, he's supposed to be right next to me, but he decides to make a comment on Facebook. So Ish, I hope you join us as well on Tuesday at X Talking Ish to make sure that we wrap up Week 8 of the NFL season. And we will see y'all on Tuesday at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Thank you, guys. Hope you have a great Sunday football fun day. And if y'all need me, y'all know where to reach me.